And he goes on, exploit the enemy's dispositions to attain victory. This the common man cannot know. He understands the forms, the dispositions of my victory, but not how I created the forms of victory. Victorious campaigns are unrepeatable. They take form in response to the infinite varieties of circumstances. So there's a lot of things going on here. One thing is that Sun Tzu is distancing himself from other job applicants, we could say. He's the person who can recognize these forms at the outset. It doesn't take a genius, he's saying, to figure out how he won afterwards, but it does take a genius in order to figure out how to win before the fray actually begins. And Sun Tzu is saying, this is where I specialize. Victorious campaigns are unrepeatable. They take form in response to the infinite varieties of circumstance. So if we think back again to the ping pong game, I said, if you have your ping pong paddle and we have a direct line in, you choose which way you send it. If somebody says, okay, that was the greatest ping pong game I've ever seen in my life, could you please do that again? Even if you are a ping pong master, you'd probably have to say no. It's impossible to sort of set up these same situations in such a way that this is going to be repeatable. The way to be a good ping pong player is not to reproduce that game, is to be able to win, right? Is to be able to sort of take what you're given and always spin it to your advantage. And Sun Tzu is saying, I'm the best ping pong player there is, or warrior. Sun Tzu goes on to make some points that I think are very interesting, and they're, I would say, probably revolutionary for ideas of war. He writes, military dispositions take form like water. Water shuns the high and hastens to the low. Water shuns the strong and attacks the weak. Water shapes its current from the lie of the land. The warrior shapes his victory from the dynamic of the enemy. So this imagery is interesting in a few different ways. Sun Tzu is saying you have to be water, you're not the rock. You're going to have to find a different way to win this war because you can't rely on rock-like strength. You have to be yin because you can't be yang. Your enemy has yang, your enemy has the force, the strength in numbers, and you're going to have to find a different sort of energy in order to win this battle. He also says that water shuns the high and hastens towards the low. And I've done some research the best I can on this word for low. It's xia. And it means, just like the word low in English has the idea of being low in elevation, but also low in the sense of lowly, can be also morally low. And I think that this sort of reading must be on the table here for Sun Tzu. He's saying you're going to have to adopt a different sort of strategy if you want to win, and it's going to be not very noble warfare. We're going to have to pursue some different sorts of means if we're going to win this. And the sorts of means that he suggests are constant changing. He says war has no constant dynamic, water has no constant form. Supreme military skill lies in deriving victory from the changing circumstances of the enemy. Among the 5 elements, there is no one constant supremacy, and so forth. So he's saying that we're going to have to change constantly, just like water. You don't have this strong, direct yang sort of attack. You need to be indirect and be yin. He goes on to say, the 4 seasons have no fixed station. There are long days and short. And then this, I think, is interesting. He says, the moon waxes and it wanes. So instead of ending with strong sorts of sun imagery, Sun Tzu goes to the imagery of the moon, and the moon is yin. And the idea of the yin power that he's saying that you have to have, an idea of the water. This is all sort of bringing together this concept that he's saying the only way you're going to win this is to be yin. So I want to go back now to something that I said at the beginning of this chapter. I'd said that this chapter is called Empty and Full, and that Sun Tzu always treats empty as being a complete disadvantage compared with fullness. And I also said that this is usually not the way that we want to consider yin as opposed to yang. Yin always has an advantage. It's just a different sort of advantage of the kind that yang offers. At this point, we see exactly how this yin energy can be made advantageous. The enemy has a very strong yang force, the enemy has numbers, the enemy has all of these things. And Sun Tzu has already given, and then in this chapter continues to give, more advantages that yin can have over yang. It requires a different sort of thinking, it requires more strategy and sort of intelligence versus just brute force, but he thinks that this is a very valid way of going about warfare. It's one that he says is not as common and is therefore unexpected, and so it's going to have great advantages in a war such as the one that he believes he's facing.